Good evening. Thank you everyone for coming. I have always been infatuated with nature. Growing up in a coastal town in Maine, it's always been a part of my life. I feel the most alive when I disconnect from the real world of phones, TV, and Instagram likes and immerse myself in the real world. There's truly nothing like being surrounded by Mother Nature. And if you listen hard enough, you can hear the beautiful songs that the world has. Tragedy is, all this could soon be history. The debate about climate change is over. Climate change is real, and it's happening right now. Just open your eyes and look around you. Use the critical thinking tools that we have learned. Winters are getting shorter, summers are getting longer. All of the seasons are changing right in front of us. All you have to do is pay attention. I have seen and felt some of the effects of climate change in my personal life. One of my favorite places in the entire world is the golf course that I've worked at every summer since high school. The course is set right next to the ocean and is one of the beautiful places I've ever been. In the winter of 2013, the rising sea level took out one of my favorite spots in the entire course. The second tee box got completely wiped away to sea. This tee box used to sit a jumper's hop from the beach with a stunning view of the ocean, and now it's part of it. You can see the flooding behind going into the first fairway that almost took out the first green as well. According to NASA, the level of atmospheric carbon dioxide is higher than it's ever been. This graph dates back 400,000 years, and we have never before been above this line until 1950. Now we're here, and it's growing exponentially. We cannot sustain this pattern. This graph shows the relationship between atmospheric carbon dioxide and global temperature. As you can see, they match each other almost perfectly. As carbon dioxide goes up, so does the global temperature. So how exactly is our world, is our climate changing? First off, the world is getting hotter. 9 of the last 10 summers have been the hottest ever recorded, and they've all occurred since 2002. We've already reached an average global temperature rise of 1 degree Celsius, and most of the world's smartest scientists believe we've already locked in a 1 degree Celsius rise. We are fast approaching the dangerous threshold of a 2 degree rise in global temperature that could alter our climate in ways that would have catastrophic events that the human race would struggle to survive. The Earth will not stop warming until carbon pollution ends, all of it. We can't reverse the warming, but we can put a stop to it. This rise in global temperature has resulted in the melting of the Arctic ice. This graph shows projections leading forward and what has already happened. The top is the best case projection, the bottom is the worst case. We currently sit here. Between the years 1900 and 1980, the Arctic ice measured in the month of September held constant at about 8.5 million square kilometers. Since then, it has dropped far faster than we projected, and now sits at 5 million square kilometers. To put this in perspective, that's about 1/3 of the United States. So basically, you take the Mississippi River, and everything east of it is the amount of ice that is melted without reforming. The same thing is happening to the 160,000 mountain glaciers around the world. These pictures show Mount Kilimanjaro and the glacier that sits atop it. This glacier has decreased 80% in the past century and will disappear in the next decade. Less ice means more heat. The Arctic ice acts as an air conditioner for the northern hemisphere. The ice and the white snow reflects the sunlight and sends it back to space. The darker surfaces left behind absorb the heat, putting more heat into the oceans and increasing the global warming effect. In the past 5 years, the rate of ice volume lost has doubled in Greenland and more than tripled in Western Antarctica. The Arctic ice melts, there's only one place to go, the ocean. Sea levels have already rose a staggering 19 centimeters since 1900 and is increasing 3 times faster over the past 2 decades. Current projections place a rise of 7 to 19 inches by 2050 and more than double that by the end of the century. Miami is currently experiencing what they call sunny day floods, where the tide rises so much that roads are flooded and they must be closed. Another effect of the changing climate is the acidification of our oceans. Oceans absorb more than 1/4 of all carbon pollution each year. This is changing the chemistry of our oceans. The acidity has increased 30% since 1700 and will likely double by the end of the century, bringing the asset level to a value that is 10 times greater than anything we've seen in 50 million years. It's taking areas that used to be colorful and full of life and turning them into graveyards. This acidity increase wreaks havoc on the coral reef systems around the world that provides breeding grounds for 25% of all marine species. This devastation is threatening the very foundation of the marine food life of the food chain and the fisheries that feed more than 3 billion people. What happens when 3 billion people run out of food? Probably the most devastating effect of the climate change is the fact that water is vanishing. Many of the world's greatest rivers are fed by glaciers and mountain snowpack. Common sense tells us that as these glaciers and as the snowpack disappears, so too does the water. Arid regions like the American Southwest, Northern Africa, and Western China are at the highest risk as these areas rely heavily on glaciers and mountain snowmelt to fill their rivers. New reports indicate that the record-breaking drought in California and northern Mexico this past year was only a warm-up act, and that it may be triggering for a mega drought that could last more than 30 years. The Sierra snowpack that provides 1/3 of Nevada's water supply is at its lowest level in recorded history. On top of that, the Colorado River is at its lowest flow rate in the past 1,200 years. The water supply for 40 million people in the Southwest United States is currently being threatened. What happens when 40 million people run out of water? And that's just in the United States. This is happening all over the world. This is a graph that depicts the global water stress by the year 2030. All these areas in red are places that will be in extremely severe water stress. People just won't have any water to drink. Heat waves will become longer and hotter. Heat is one of the #1 weather-related killer and is projected to rise over 257% by the year 2050. Disease will be spread. Longer breeding season for insects and flooding can prevent proper sewage treatment in cities, amplifying disease in densely populated areas. There'll be bigger and hotter wildfires, longer fire season, drier conditions, more fuel and lightning strikes, and damages due to these wildfires could reach up to $300 billion globally. There'll be more storm damage to go along with that, and coastal displacement from the sea level rise. The rise in sea level could reach up to more than 3 feet if aggressive measures to stop climate change does not occur. New York City, Miami, and other coastal cities will be underwater. In Asia, 200 million people will be forced to leave their homes, 13 million in Europe. Entire US states could be subdivided by water. There'll be growing conflict. What happens when millions and billions of people lose water, food, and are forced from their homes? Mass migrations will occur, which will result in increased conflict. It's already happening in the Middle East. There'll be economic impacts. Species decline and ecosystems will collapse. Climate change and all the global impacts that go along with it will change the world as we know it into a world that I, for one, do not want to live in. So how do we stop it? We must put an end to carbon pollution and transition to clean and renewable energy. The 2015 Paris Climate Agreement is a great start for the world to beat the greatest challenge humanity has ever faced. 196 countries have come together to take action to defeat climate change. The goal of the Paris Agreement is to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius by reducing global emissions of carbon dioxide to 0 by 2050, and to reduce global emissions of all greenhouse gases to 0 by the years 2060 to 2080. While this 1.5 degrees Celsius target is ambitious, it is technically feasible, but we need help from the governments of the world. Getting rid of fossil fuel subsidies, tax cuts and handouts to the fossil fuel industry, while also placing a price on carbon emissions and reining back political lobbying by fossil fuel interests, will allow clean and renewable energy choices to take hold. Not only will making the world 100% renewable by 2050 make the planet better for our children and grandchildren, there will be everyday benefits for all of us in the present. Going 100% renewable will eliminate 4.6 million premature deaths caused by air pollution per year worldwide, 60,000 in the United States. It will save $22.8 trillion in annual health costs by 2050 globally. It will create a net gain of 16.8 million long-term jobs worldwide, 2 million in the United States alone. It will stabilize global energy prices by eliminating market volatility associated with fossil fuels, and will reduce potential for international conflicts by creating energy-independent economies. Now, all of these solutions may feel out of your hands, but there are lots of things you can do to fight climate change every day. Use efficient lighting, LED light bulbs, and turn off the extra lights. Replace old appliances with newer, energy-efficient models. Adjust your thermostat up in the warm months and down in the cold months, especially when you're away from home. Recycle, recycle, recycle. Invest in solar. It'll save you money in the long run. Save on gas by investing in electric, hybrid, or super fuel-efficient cars. Maximize your fuel efficiency no matter what car you have by keeping your tires inflated, keeping your trunk free of excess weight, and avoid driving whenever possible by walking, biking, or carpooling. And buy carbon offsets. You can pay into projects that help compensate for the carbon that you do emit. Buy less red meat at the store. Opt for chicken or a vegetarian style diet. Consuming 1 pound of beef gives off more carbon dioxide than burning a gallon of gasoline. And bring your own bags to the store when you shop, which will reduce plastic waste. And buy in bulk when you can to reduce on packaging. And most importantly, in the coming elections, vote for and support candidates that support clean energy and will act on stopping climate change. The biggest misconception when it comes to climate change is that people think it won't happen in their lifetime. Not only is that the most selfish thought process, it is flat out wrong. The climate is changing and is happening right now. I encourage all of you to get involved, educate yourself. Start your own nonprofit initiative like I have. Do the right thing. The climate does not care if you're Republican or Democrat, if you're white, black, or Asian, Hispanic, or any other race. The climate doesn't care if you are straight, gay, or bisexual. If we do not act now to save this planet, we will all be equally extinct. Thank you.